How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm driving the Ford Mustang over to Shelby America, and what I'm getting to do today is actually go on a private tour. And my friend Kash is over there, and he's gonna, give us a tour of the whole facility and, kind of give us a full walkthrough and everything. And I wanted to share that with you. But before we get into that, if you could do me a huge favor, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Still doing the 1,000 subscriber merch giveaway. We're at 870-ish subscribers, so thank you to everybody that subscribed. Definitely do appreciate it. Gives me motivation to keep making content for you. Also, to qualify for the 1,000 subscriber merch giveaway, subscribe to the channel. Also follow our socials on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. There's posts there that do not show up on YouTube, so to see kind of stuff that happens day to day, with M2 motoring, everything that I do, and Steve included, go ahead and follow those and you'll get to see some cool stuff. But yeah, let's get into this. Now, Shelby America is here in Las Vegas. The building's right over there. It's actually right across the street from a very popular mall, really high-end upscale mall, but this is Shelby America's building. Very big facility, and we're just right around the corner. Become a little better at driving while holding a GoPro and shifting. Here is the front of the building. They also do full tours and stuff during the week. They're open for retail, but we're gonna go ahead and pull in and park and go visit some friends. If you've watched any of my previous content, I was here before for Shelby Bash. This is the front area for Shelby. There's a lot of people that come in for the retail side. You see a taxi cab with tourists pulling up. Yeah, full development facility, retail, and everything here is in-house. Over here is the merchandise and retail area for Shelby. All sorts of t-shirts, hats, slippers, jackets, and all that. They have some collectible die casts right over there. Cool little lounge area. Merch. Still have the giveaway convertible.
Several bad puns later.
Welcome to Shelby American. Welcome to our museum, our Heritage Center. Here we have everything from the old to the new. We could probably start off here with one of the last Cobras that Carol owned. This is actually the last slab side body car. 289 V8, painted stripes, automatic. One of those things, Carol happened to love automatics. That was one of those things that he loved. A lot of us today like manual transmissions, but Carol did love his automatics. So as we go through here, we'll have a number of cars, everything from current day cars that we're building today to the cars that we're probably most well known for as far as our Cobras. Here we have one of our MG race cars that Carol had, which has been fully restored. I believe it is still in the family. Kash, can you, Kash Singh is here with us. Kash is our Director of Sales and Marketing partner in crime, you could say, and he has now agreed to be part of this.
So this is actually a replica of the first car that Carol raced. You start off with MGs, and if you watch the movie, you kind of see some of the history that we have here in the museum.
So as we move around here, we see a number of things. We see our Cobras over here, our 427 Cobras. Here we'll see one over here with twin superchargers on it, producing about 800 horsepower. So when you put 800 horsepower in a 2,500 pound car, what do you have? Go-kart on steroids. A lot of fun. Cobras are still built today. You know, a lot of people will ask the question, are these kit cars? No, they're not kit cars. We sell them, they're called continuations, meaning it's a continuation of the original Cobra that was built back in the 60s. We still build the small block cars which sit on a 3-inch tube frame with a monoleaf suspension. Our big block cars sit on a 4-inch tube frame with an independent rear suspension in them. So, you know, both cars have different dynamics, different type of audience as far as the people who like them. You can get them as we say, it's really set up to your liking, as it comes as a rolling chassis, meaning it is a complete car minus engine and transmission. As an automotive manufacturer, we have to build cars a certain way to virtually stay within government standards. So otherwise we would have to have crash tested bumpers, they'd have to be emissions compliant. So as a manufacturer, we build them without motors and transmissions, and the customers have the opportunity to really outfit them the way they want. So we see a lot of different variations go into cars as people finish them. Here we have some of our vintage Mustangs, our vintage Shelbys here, everything from GT350s to GT500s. Here we have what I would call a continuation GT350. This is a program that we had several years ago where a customer could bring us a 65 Mustang, virtually any variation, and it could then be turned into a GT350. Similar to the way the Cobras are done now, you could bring us an older car and have it converted into a 350.
Oh, very cool.
Here we have the original Super Snake, 67 GT500.
And this one's special because it is a prototype. From my understanding, it was a one of one. So
sold for over $2 million in the auction. So wow, a very valuable car.
Valuable piece of history at that too.
Here we have several others. Here we have a replica of Little Red, car that was built, once again, I believe it was a prototype that was built. The original, I believe, is in the Craig Jackson collection.
Yep, he's purchased Little Red and the Green Hornet.
And the Green Hornet, which we see over here on the other side. The 68 KR that we have here is actually owned by our president's wife. And this was a special car to her because as a little girl, she used to work on this car with her dad.
Oh, wow.
And her dad later signed the car over to her, and her and Gary had a complete restoration done on the car several years ago. So, beautiful car with a lot of personal history within the organization here.
And a color you don't frequently see ever.
Beautiful color.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Here we have the original Super Snake that was that came out. I'll call them current day Super Snakes in 2007. This is, I believe, C1, Concept 1. And this car originally started off as a GT500, supercharged, taken up to an original, it was 725, 750 horse. We later put the larger supercharger on it from Kenny Bell, taking it up to 800 horse. We don't just put big power behind cars. If you're gonna do a car, at least Shelby way, everything's gonna be complementary. We put suspension in it, we put exhaust in it so it breathes. And if you have a car that's gonna go fast, you better have big brakes on it, have a car that's gonna stop. So, then we move over here and we see our wide body. This is our Super Snake wide body, produces about 825 horsepower. Once again, big brakes. You see the big back end of the car. We actually put a steel rear quarter over, excuse me, over the existing quarter panel, enhancing it by 6 inches, 3 inches on each side, where we put a 345/30/20, 14 inches of rubber on the back. Once again, looks fantastic. It has been a game changer for us. Right now, backlogs, we're looking in almost 2-year wait.
Wow.
That's how much the demand is for the car right now. One of the cars I really like to talk about is one of the last cars that Carol rode in, and that was the Shelby 1000. Carol always wanted to have a car that would do 1,000. That was 1,000 horsepower. And so Vince Lavalette, who is our vice president of operations, worked in the development of this car. We originally had a car, it was a prototype car called Code Red, which we built one car. We didn't end up putting that car into production, but a lot of the parts that we put into that car were parts that we ended up using when we did the Shelby 1000. This car had a supercharged motor, 5.4 liter, big Kenny Bell on it, producing well over 1,000 horsepower, big suspension, Curry 9-inch rear end, big brakes once again. And when I first started at Shelby back in 2011, I would see Carol come with his big black hat, get in this car with Vince, and go for a ride, and he always came back with a smile on his face. And it's kind of cool in the fact that this was, excuse me, this was his dream, and he got to spend time in this car before he eventually passed away. So it's a pretty cool car. All these cars that we see in here are either part of the Shelby family here or private collectors, which we have in here. So this car here happens to be owned by a private collector. So we see a lot of different variations as far as who owns the cars here. That's a question we get asked quite a bit. Are these Shelby cars, and are they for sale? And where we're a manufacturer, we don't per se have cars for sale here, but we do have customers who occasionally display their cars here, who do sell them at one point or another. Here we have our Prud'homme Edition Dragster. This was 800 horsepower. Once again, this was one of Vince's creations with Don the Snake Prud'homme. We built a very limited number of these cars. Full tilt front end, pretty cool car as we look at it here. As we look here, we see, we call these movie cars. These were part of the Ford versus Ferrari movie. So, you know, people always ask me, why don't you wash this car? What's the answer? Cash?
It's a dust from the movie.
It's a dust from the movie, and we've never touched them. We kind of keep them as they were, as movie cars.
And this is an opening scene of the movie.
The movie,
Ford versus Ferrari.
Yep, opening scene car.
My wife finally saw the movie last night for the first time, and yes, she was impressed. Here we have our Daytona Coupe. Like the Cobras, we still manufacture the Daytona Coupes. This car can be purchased both in fiberglass form as well as an aluminum body. Once again, as a rolling chassis, then the customer has the opportunity to finish the car. Peter Brock, who was the designer of this car, actually lives here in our community. It's not uncommon to see him at local Cars and Coffee on a Saturday morning with his own Daytona Coupe. Out there enjoying the car show scene with the rest of us. Here we have the first car that Shelby built from the ground up. This is our Shelby Series 1. Quite often you'll see people who will see this car and they'll ask, what is it? Because they are so rare. Less than 250 of these cars were built. You know, we think about Carol had relationships obviously with Ford, later with Dodge as Lee Iacocca moved from Ford to Dodge, and then General Motors with Oldsmobile. This car sits on a honeycomb chassis, carbon fiber car. Has an Oldsmobile roar in it, supercharged. It produces, I believe, a little over 425, 450 horsepower in a 2,700 pound car. So when you look inside this car, you'll see a lot of General Motors influences inside this car.
And I noticed on the interior touches it from, you know, when this was made, you can see the styling, kind of the cues.
Still a rock star car, and I think in today's world, we're starting to see these cars start to appreciate, go up in value.
Yep.
So, pretty awesome car. This is a pretty incredible car that we see here. This is I call it the Ken Miles Edition Sebring FIA body Cobra. This car was meant to, I guess we'll use the word, symbolize as a continuation of a car that ran in 64 at Sebring. And so, total of 15 of these cars were built. I believe this is the last of the series, or one of the last cars, either car number 14 or 15. This car has a small block V8 in it, producing about 450 horsepower with a 5-speed manual. And it's not uncommon to see this car on the show scene. We actually, I think the last time it was shown was at the Concours d'Elegance show here in Las Vegas late this fall.
Very cool.
Here we have our 50th anniversary Daytona Coupe. This is obviously, as you can tell looking at it, an all aluminum, polished aluminum car. Very thin as far as to the touch. It tends to be aluminum, especially being polished out, tends to be more susceptible to denting. The person who owns this car, one of the owners, is very careful about making sure that if we're pushing this car out of the museum, that we're very careful on how we touch it, as it's very easy in something as simple as pushing the car to put it, say, a dent in the door.
Certain spots you touch and grab by that, beautiful.
Yes, and we always seem to know who the person is that touches it, because it's usually on camera.
We do have cameras in here.
Knowing it's not Kash. So once again, this car has a small block V8 in it. I believe between 450 and 500 horsepower. Weber's on it. Just a beautiful car. And it's actually for sale right now. So the last of the 50th anniversary cars that was built.
Very nice. If I'm asking, do you know the asking price?
I believe it's they're asking $600,000 for it.
Okay. Cash, new project.
Can I borrow a credit card?
Cash will put it on one of his mini black cards.
There we go.
So here we have a copper Cobra. This is by a private owner. Something as simple as opening the hood may require a Gold's Gym membership, as it is not light. This car has a 427 in it. We see the Weber sitting on top of it. Pretty incredible car that we have here. This pretty much takes care of what we have here in the Heritage Center. So as I mentioned, we have a lot of the old as well as the new here, which kind of gives the customers a taste of, as well as patrons, a taste of, you know, what we've done from going all the way back to the 60s to what we're doing today.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Thanks for your time, Tim.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. And that pretty much concludes today's episode. This is the tour of the Shelby American Heritage Center and their production facility. I'm sure there's more content that I'll have here soon. But yeah, until next time, you guys take care. See you on the next episode.